Good Friday morning, and thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, voice you know with the news you trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Dusty Sonnenberg. Well, another cold morning outside, clear skies, 11 degrees on the barn thermometer right now on my farm. Not as much wind as yesterday, but every little bit of a breeze makes it feel much colder outside with that wind chill. Looks like a good day to be in the warmth of the Columbus Convention Center as the Ohio Farm Bureau annual meeting continues for day number 2. This quick calendar reminder, join Jeff Martin Auctioneers in Lima, Ohio on December 17th at 9 a.m. for an auction featuring the absolute complete dispersal of Ohio ag equipment. Learn more at www.jeffmartinauctioneers.com. Taking a look at your agricultural headlines, the Ohio pig farmers are applauding Ohio legislators for passing a feral swine bill, and they now urge the governor to sign the bill into law. In another unanimous bipartisan vote, the Ohio Senate passed HB 503, known as the feral swine bill, 31-0 this week, and this marks another milestone towards protecting Ohio agriculture against the massive disease and economic threat posed by non-native feral swine entering the state. This comes after the Ohio House voted 89-0 last June to do the same, meaning the legislation now only needs the governor's signature to become effective. Now, on behalf of Ohio's pig farmers, landowners, and many others in agriculture, we're very pleased with this historic bipartisan vote by both houses as we now await Governor DeWine's signature as the final act needed to allow this much-needed legislation to become law. That, according to Cheryl Day, Executive Vice President of the Ohio Pork Council, we want to thank the timeless efforts of our bill sponsors, Representative Don Jones and Representative Bob Peterson, along with Senator Tim Schaefer. They all worked hard to help us get this bill passed so that our state's farmers have more protection against costly foreign animal diseases. The nonpartisan board support we've seen only underscores the clear need to sign this legislation into law immediately. The nonpartisan broad support we've seen only underscores the clear need to sign this legislation into law immediately, she said. Now, beyond the risk of animal disease, Day points to the immense damage that non-native feral swine bring to Ohio's land, crops, soil, and water, which she says alone justifies the governor's signature of HB 503. She points to the USDA estimates that attribute $2.5 billion of damage each year caused by wild pigs to the ag sector alone. Earlier this year, Ohio Veterinary Medical Association Executive Director Christopher Henney said in a written testimony that feral swine may carry at least 30 viral and bacterial diseases and nearly 40 parasites. By outlawing the hunting and importation of feral swine into the state, Ohio will continue to be a national leader in the agricultural and animal health industries, Henney said. This bill is a significant step in the right direction for Ohio, and the OVMA is proud to support these efforts. Let's get a check now on your Friday morning weather forecast, brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance, online at seedconsultants.com.
Chilly for your Ohio Friday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at your forecast update. While we are chilly, we are not as cold as yesterday. I think the coldest core of this Arctic high is behind us. That means we're slowly trying to transition onto the backside of the high. South winds will be developing over the next 24 to 36 hours. That's what really will help our temperatures climb. But today, I think we have a mix of clouds and sunshine, and we're still quite chilly for this time of year. Moving forward, we do see temperatures moderating tomorrow with the south flow with full sunshine. I think we stay dry all Saturday afternoon, and then we move into the Saturday night, Sunday period, and we'll see some rain in here, starting close to midnight Saturday night and moving through most of Sunday afternoon. I think we pencil in 1/10 to 3/4 of an inch out of that first wave. And then we've got a second wave coming probably Monday morning through midday, another 1/10 to 3/4 of an inch there. The higher end of the rain range on Monday is going to be where thunderstorms can pop up, and I do think there will be some of those down in southern parts of Ohio. The cold front with this weather system finally pushes through on Tuesday, next Tuesday, so that's where we see temperatures pull back a little bit. Not nearly as cold as what we've seen here this past week, but chilly nonetheless. We are dry for Tuesday, dry for Wednesday, probably dealing with a little bit of light snow and flurry action for Thursday the 19th, especially in central and southern parts of Ohio. We follow that up with a dry finish to the week, Friday the 20th, and going through the weekend of the 21st and 22nd, a reinforcing shot of Arctic air is here. So we're chilly, but we still should stay dry outside of a lake effect on Saturday. Going into the week of Christmas, I think we're dry with sunshine and cold, but we should not have any travel problems for the holiday. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more after this. Did you know that soybean meal is the #1 protein source used in aquaculture worldwide? Global fish consumption has nearly doubled in the last 40 years, making aquaculture the fastest growing sector of food production. Rich in protein content and highly digestible, soybean meal is an environmentally sound solution to feed the growing global demand for nutritious seafood. Soybeans, feeding the industry that feeds us. Brought to you by Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff. Joining me is Evan Calicote. He's Director of State Policy with the Ohio Farm Bureau Federation. Evan, a lot of things going on in the ag industry, but probably none more important right now to farmers in the state of Ohio than looking at drought relief in HB 683. What can you tell us about the status of that, and what are we asking farmers and Farm Bureau members to do?
Yeah, so we've been working hard on this bill over the last about month or so. It was introduced in October by Representative Don Jones and Representative Jay Edwards. And what this bill is going to do, it's going to provide $10 million in relief for those farmers in most critical need with the drought. We've been working with them really hard on this for the last couple months, and I'll be frank, the time is short. We've maybe got 2 session days left here in the State House, so we're working hard with the Senate. The bill did pass the House 84-7, so we're very happy with that large of a vote, and we're hoping the Senate will take it up, and we'll hope for some really, really good news next week for our farmers.
Any champions we have right now sort of leading the cause for us in the Senate?
Yeah, I would say Brian Chavez has been doing a great job. He's worked very hard with Don Jones. They've been really on this issue hard. Their districts are some of the hardest hit by the drought, so we're very glad for all the champions that we've had. And we know that we've had great feedback from every single senator and representative we talk to. It's purely just time at this point.
Sure.
Everyone wants to help. It's just, can we get it across the finish line legislatively? So we're hoping we will.
Sounds good. Yeah, a lot of positive momentum. We just need that final push. Well, another big thing that we always talk about at the convention, farmland preservation, a big topic as always. Where do we stand right now in the state of Ohio with that?
Yeah, unfortunately, over the last 5 years, we have seen 300,000 acres go, but we're going to commit to protecting the rest. I think there's a lot of things that we have going for us at the state level that we're going to try to do here in the next General Assembly. I think a lot of the legislature realizes that we've had a lot of good economic development over the last few years, but we have to remain focused on our one of the number one things that our industry needs, and that's land.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of legislators that are interested in helping us out on that, and we'll look forward to the next General Assembly to get some of those things done.
Yeah, they aren't making any news, so we need to make sure we manage wisely what we have. Right. Well, another big topic, especially in the rural areas around the state, is broadband expansion and that connectivity. Where do we stand with that currently?
Yeah, so the state program has been up and running pretty well, but we did just get a new infusion of federal dollars from the BEAD program. So we're watching Broadband Ohio as they start to get those dollars out the door. This is just another tranche of federal funding, not necessarily too much different with it, just trying to focus on getting broadband out in rural areas. So really glad with all the leadership at Broadband Ohio and Pete Voderberg over there. Grateful for their partnership and grateful trying to get broadband out in rural Ohio.
Well, much needed, and most folks will say it can't come soon enough in a lot of areas to be able to stay connected. Well, ever since the pandemic, meat processing has been in the forefront of people's minds, having the availability and access, and Ohio Meat Processing Grant Program is a topic that you have. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so the meat processing grant program was created in the last budget, and we've so far had $28 million allocated to this. And what it really focuses on is just standing up those small and medium processors that may just need a little bit of help getting that new equipment to help push them over the line. And we've seen great feedback that this is really helping people help their businesses. After COVID, we saw a huge drive for consumers wanting local meat, and our legislature did too. So we're very grateful for their support and look forward to supporting that in the future.
A tough business, and any help we can give to those processors. I know as a producer looking to support our local processors, it's nice when there's some help coming from the other side to keep them financially viable. Well, a big deal this time of year is everybody anxiously, I guess, looks in their mailbox from that statement from the auditor, property taxes. What can you tell us about an update in the state on that? Yeah,
so the state's working really, really hard to try to get the property tax committee report. There was the property tax review committee that was created last year, and we are anxiously waiting that report. That is going to be kind of the recommendations that the legislature is going to want to do on property taxes, we hope, in the next General Assembly. We've been working really hard. Our members are getting hit by these rising property values and taxes, so we remain committed to working on that and protecting CAUV. And I will tell anyone that is listening, the legislature is protecting CUV, and we hope to continue to do that.
Good. That is definitely good news. Well, one final topic we want to touch on, the state budget, something that comes around every 2 years. And as we look ahead to the next one, what are some of the early signs there?
Yeah, so there's not going to be as much federal funding. There was a lot of federal funding coming out of COVID, so a lot of legislators and people around the State House are saying this is going to be more of a normal budget. We're still doing fine. We have plenty of money, but we're not going to be able to throw it around everywhere. So there's going to be a few tough conversations, but we're looking forward to advocating for many things that we do often, whether that be H2 Ohio, Department of Agriculture funding, many things like that. We look forward to advocating for those in the next budget.
Good deal. My guest again today is Evan Calicote. He is Director of State Policy for Ohio Farm Bureau. Evan, thanks so much for all your work. A lot of great things going on, and we appreciate you sharing with all the members.
Thank you, Dusty.
I'm joined by Leah Hetrick. She's Director of Legal Education and Member Engagement for the Ohio Farm Bureau. Leah, a lot of different things going on in the industry, but one of those when it comes to trucking and a farmer's trucking guide. Tell me about that. What are maybe some of the questions that are answered by that?
So the trucking guide is actually a really cool guide. We get a lot of questions from our members calling in. They've had maybe a run-in with the state trooper, pulling them over, and they're just not sure about the law. So one of the things this trucking guide is a good resource for is to have that in their glove box just to pull out for any of those questions. You know, was my length too long? Was I able to be driving in this situation? And it's a good resource to have on hand to answer those questions in the immediacy and in a more palatable way, a more understandable way.
Sure.
And then I'm always available for those follow-up questions. So it's a good way to, start the conversation so they know what they're looking for.
Well, and probably a great tool to have to go over with employees before they get in that situation too, ideally.
Yeah, it is a good resource for all of those. And it's not just, trucking. It's when you're pulling, your trailer going, to the 4-H programs or what have you. So it answers a lot of those questions, or at least gets the thought process going of where you need to look.
Great. Always good to have current information. My guest again this morning is Leah Hetrick. She's Director of Legal Education and Member Engagement for the Ohio Farm Bureau. Leah, thanks so much for your work.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. We'll be back to take a look at your markets after this.
Since 1926, Nationwide has been rooted in agriculture. Founded as the Farm Bureau Mutual Automobile Insurance Company with a mission to protect farmers and their communities, we honor our legacy by offering solutions that evolve with the complex needs of today's farms. As the leading insurer of America's farms and trusted by 8 farm bureaus for 100 years and counting, Nationwide is on your side. Number 1 insurer based on 2023 direct written premium per AM Best. Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
It's time now for your morning Louis Dreyfus grain analysis brought to you by the Ohio Soybean Council and your soybean checkoff. Let's check in with Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished the Thursday session mixed after being mostly lower through a large chunk of the day. At the closing bell, corn was down 3 to 6. We saw the wheat markets down anywhere from 4 to 5 cents. Beans a fractionally higher nearby. Bean oil was up nicely. Bean meal was down. The marketplace yesterday just was running out of gas. We kind of teased that on Wednesday that we were running out of the euphoria of the WASDE report earlier in the week. On Thursday, we just didn't really see a lot of follow through. The only thing that was pointed out is WASDE still underestimating soy oil exports by a handy little chunk. That's part of the reason why the bean oil market was a little bit stronger yesterday. Estimates yesterday have about 3,300 contracts of corn being sold by the funds, 2,100 contracts of wheat, and a couple thousand contracts of soybeans. In the products, funds bought some soy oil, sold soy meal. However, it doesn't really do much to the overall structure of the marketplace given where we're seeing right now. The weekly export sales report was interesting yesterday. Humdrum, ho-hum affair overall, 10.7 million bushels of wheat, 37.3 million bushels corn, about 43 million bushels of soybeans. All were below the trade expectations. We're still up 9% year-on-year for wheat exports, corn up 30% year-on-year, beans up about 12%. However, one of the things that was pointed out in the export sales report, corn sales to unknown destinations usually are around 3.6 million metric tons. This year we're around 4. There's been a lot of talk recently over the past few weeks of who the unknown destinations are. One large one probably is Mexico, but also maybe the EU in here. Spain booked and had a cargo of corn last week, but the latent EU corn harvest and troubles with aflatoxin have likely caused EU feeds to try and book some U.S. corn coming in. So those were the stories yesterday. Flash reported sale to start the day of about 334,000 tons of soybeans to unknown. That likely is China or maybe Europe. China, if it's there, is probably Sinograin.
I'm Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Let's take a look now at your overnight trade brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. March corn is trading down a half a penny at $4.43. March soybeans down 3 1/4 cents at $10 even, and wheat for March down 2 cents at $5.56 1/2 cent. December live cattle ended the day down 12 1/2 cents at $192.12 1/2. December lean hogs though closed the day up a nickel at $83.55. This is the Ohio AgNet.